One of the long-running debates in the backpacking world, boots or trail runners. I can't solve it for you. I don't think anybody can. There's dissenting views on it, certainly. Some people feel strongly that it's one or the other. This video, though, we're going to particularly cover the trail runners and my experience and research with those. The first thing I'll tell you about it is don't worry too much about it. If you haven't gone backpacking before and you're kind of freaking out about, what do I wear, what do I get, what kind of shoes should I wear, really truly don't worry about it. It can be figured out later. Use what you have if you need to, or just make a guess and pick one. Stores like REI give you a great option where you can try something, and if it just doesn't work out for you, you can return it even after you've used it. So that's maybe an option for you if you're just not sure. But really, truly, don't worry about it too much. The reality is, as you backpack more, as you gain more experience, you'll sort of start to learn what works for you, what you like, what you don't like. And just go ahead and get out there and enjoy yourself and go backpacking. So just as an example, when I went backpacking for the first time, I didn't have hiking boots. I didn't have trail runners. I really wasn't prepared with the foot gear for the trail like I would be today, or I would have liked to have been. What I did is I took these right here. These are just plain old heavy work boots. They're steel-toed. They're very, very heavy. And it's what I had, so it's what I took. And that's what I would say is if you're just new to it and you're just not even sure if you like backpacking yet or not, you want to try it. If you have to wear tennis shoes, hit the trail. The reality is trail runners aren't that much different than tennis shoes, a little grippier. But use what you have if you need to. Don't worry about spending a bunch of money or getting the exact right thing out of the gate. Hit the trail, go hike. It's worth it. If you are a more experienced backpacker, you're trying to decide what to do, you're researching options. That was sort of where I was a little while ago when I worked on this. Then maybe you want to listen to some of this and kind of get some information. Hopefully you gain some knowledge and maybe it's help guide your decision through this video into maybe where you want to go and what would be right for you. Some of the benefits of boots and trail runners, like the benefits of boots are sort of the disadvantages for trail runners and vice versa. So like with boots, you get ankle support usually, if they're high top at least, and you're going to get maybe a little bit longer lasting life on the shoe itself. The boots last longer than the trail runners typically, as well as you're going to have a little bit better grip and support if you're in sort of loose shale type environments where the footing isn't very secure. Boots are generally going to be better in that regard, but they're heavy and they take forever to dry out if they do get wet. If you've backpacked at all, you know that it's just a matter of time before your shoes get wet. Even waterproof boots, you're going to end up in a scenario where you stepped in the creek the wrong way, water got in, or you just had a downpour rain and your boot got wet. So the importance of being able to dry that out is pretty high for a lot of people because they just don't want to deal with the problems that come about when you have your feet wet all the time. It's been a long time since I posted a video, and it's not because I didn't want to. I've been very busy personally, and then last year I also sprained my ankle playing soccer, and so I really haven't been able to get outdoors as much and do as much as I would have liked. But what I did last year is, you'll recall back in the spring time frame, I was about to make a trip to Big Bend National Park for a weekend kind of hike with some of my family. And so in advance of that trip, I decided to make the switch. Now between these boots and the trail runners, I had used regular Merrell brand hiking boots. And I actually really enjoyed them. They were comfortable. They were really nice to hike in. I liked them a lot, but I was interested in maybe getting something lighter weight. I really care about going ultralight, and I work really hard to slim down as much as I can from a pack perspective, as well as reduce the weight of items that I do have to take with me. And so taking it from a hiking boot to a trail runner was appealing to me because it would reduce the overall weight. And I also was interested in the drying capability of a lightweight trail runner. Now to that end, one of the big things that I was looking at with trail runners was the ability to get something that actually is different than a boot. So I really liked the boot, but the things that I was trying to achieve, if you get a trail runner that's really just maybe a lightweight boot or a low top boot, like there's trail runners out there, they're called trail runners, and they really aren't much different than a low top, lighter weight boot. This is the shoe that I actually ended up going with, and I wore it in Big Bend National Park on that hike, and I've worn it since then at several other places. Big Bend was probably the most, the least forgiving of the environments. It was really hard on the shoes. It was a very rough, sort of rugged terrain, a lot of cactus, a lot of rock, and some loose shale and so forth in the creek beds and other places. And so it was something that probably was more conducive to wearing a boot. And that's kind of where I come from. Even if you're a person who loves trail runners, there may be times where a boot is maybe a better option for that particular hike or that particular stretch of the trail. In our case, Big Bend, it was a 4-day hike, 40 miles that we went, and the hike was going to be rugged. We knew it was. I took the trail runners because I thought, what greater place to try trail runners in rough terrain and see if they work well or not. And they worked okay. I wasn't unhappy with it, but I do think boots in that scenario would have been maybe a better choice. But anyway, so I took the approach with the trail runners, like I do with a lot of things, to research really well. I was specifically targeting trail runners that would be very lightweight and hopefully weren't so padded and thick and cushioned that they would just take forever to dry out. So with that in mind, I went through and I bought 22 different trail runner options from 7 different brands. I had them shipped to my house. I stuck them in my living room, and I went through and I categorized each of the shoes and put them in order from lightest weight to heaviest weight. I put the dollar amount that each of them cost as well, and that was a consideration, but honestly it was a lesser consideration to me than finding a trail runner shoe that was comfortable and I felt like would last and met the other criteria that I was looking for. And so my son helped me, and we sat there and using a computer, I categorized all of them into a spreadsheet and listed out the weight values for each one. We weighed each shoe. Now I wear a size 8.5, so the weight measurements were based on a men's 8.5. Spread them all over the living room, and then one by one I tried them on, walked around the house, tried different things with them, climbing stairs, stepping on maybe uneven surfaces, and working really hard to kind of get to a point where I could start to narrow the field. It became very obvious to me right up front. Some shoes weren't very comfortable. Those were eliminated right off the bat. Others, I didn't like this or that about them. Some of them, they just looked weird. And if you're on the trail, you probably don't care if they're comfortable and they're durable. The looks may not matter so much. As I went through the trail runners, I was able to start to narrow it down. And as I narrowed it down, it was interesting. I found that there were certain brands that fit my foot better than others. Now, the disclaimer here is this is specific to my foot. And I know shoes is something that it's not a one-size-fits-all, not only from a size perspective, but comfortability. And there's a lot of reason why the shoes that you wear for one person maybe loves them and the next person doesn't like them. There's a lot of reasons why that may be the case. So this is just my experience with the shoes and with the brands. And the brands that really stuck out to me as comfortable, really felt nice, seemed like they would hold up well and so forth, were the Merrell brand, the Topo brand, and Salomon. And so the others, pretty consistently, there may be a shoe that felt pretty good, but generally the other brands that I tried, they just weren't as comfortable and didn't fit my foot as well. You should know that I'm not being sponsored by any of these brands. There's no money tied to it. There's no affiliate program. Absolutely nothing. This is just my true unbiased opinion based on what I tried out. So one of the things that I did, you'll see right here in this picture, that I took the shoes and I stuck a post-it note on each one with the weight and the dollar amount that it cost. And then that way I was able to easily sort of see the weight differences as I was trying the shoes on and off. So I had it in a spreadsheet as well, but to visually have the post-it note right there on the shoe box as I tried one shoe and then the next, it was really helpful, and it allowed me to sort of use that as a measurement. And then as I narrowed the field down to a smaller and smaller group of shoes that I still was interested in, if there were two that were basically felt the same, and I couldn't detect anything that was significantly different between them, then it may just come down to which one was lighter weight, because that was one of my top criteria as well. I ended up landing on this shoe right here for the trip to Big Bend National Park. It was very, very lightweight. It came in at 12.9 ounces for a size 8.5. It was in fact the lightest weight shoe that I had bought, which wasn't the only reason that I stuck with it. It was actually very, very comfortable, and was very thin, and I felt like would dry out very quickly if it did get wet. For me, it really came down to choosing between the Bare Access 4 and the Trail Glove 3. Those were the two shoes that I was at the end of the day debating between. They're very close in weight, less than an ounce difference in weight. The Bare Access 4 is just a little bit lighter weight, and I ended up going with it. I also thought the Bare Access 4 was a little bit more comfortable than the Trail Glove 3. Now, I did have a concern going in, and that was that the tread, it may not hold up as well. It seemed like it was more of a tennis shoe based tread, and not as grippy as some of the other trail runners, and so I was concerned that it may not hold up as long. And in fact, some of the reviews that I read online indicated that may be a problem with this particular shoe. That being said, I took it anyway, and I went ahead and went on the trip, and I've used it, like I said, other places. I wasn't terribly impressed with the way it did hold up. It was incredibly comfortable for the entire 4-day trip, and then every other trip that I've used it on was very comfortable. However, after just the first 30 miles or so, I noticed that the tread itself was starting to flake off in places. And so I'll try to get this up close to the camera so you can see. I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but this is the tread starting to peel off of the shoe, and right there as well. And then I'll show you on the other shoe, it also has some of the same problems. You'll see right here, it's starting to pull back from the shoe, and over on the heel, it's come completely off. And so what I was concerned with as far as the durability, turned out to be true. And so if I had to choose again, based on having actually worn these shoes and understanding, how they held up, I would probably choose the Trail Glove 3, which was the other pair, also by Merrell. Both of them were the Merrell brand. That turned out to be my favorite of all of them. The Salomons were really comfortable, but they were also a thicker based trail runner that I felt like wouldn't dry out as well. And the Topos were in that category. I thought they looked a little bit strange, but they were comfortable. But they didn't outdo the Merrells, and they were heavier as well.
The Salomon shoes have a really unique easy on, easy off lacing system that was appealing to me. If I hadn't fallen in love with the Merrells as much as I did, the Salomons would likely have been my pick.
These are some other trail runners that I have. These are Merrells as well. These have never been used, so they're brand new. But you can see the grip on the sole, the comparison between these two. The grip on the sole of the Bare Access 4 is a lot less than on this other trail runner. And so, when you think about that, the more tread you have, the longer it's probably going to hold up. What I found is, for me at least, there wasn't a lot of benefit to try to split the difference between boots and trail runners. When I looked at these trail runners, it was try to get as lightweight as you possibly can with the trail runner while still having comfort, and something that's somewhat durable and will last for a while. So if you're going to need boots, then go ahead and get high top boots that give you the full ankle support and are better for that application. And you may just end up having a couple of different kinds of shoes that you have at your disposal that you can take on a given trip. Hopefully, by sharing this detail, that was helpful, and you guys actually benefit from this, and hopefully helps you in any decisions you have to make about what kind of trail runner you might want to go with. There's a lot of options out there, and there's so many that it's almost mind-boggling. Sometimes you don't know what to do. And trying them on in the store was useful, but they didn't have all the ones that I was looking for, or they didn't have them in my size. And so to just order them in, that worked out really well. I was able to try them all out. Then the ones that I didn't want, I was able to just take it back and return it to the store because they were unused. And then that way I was able to really form an opinion that was informed and based on actual trying it out and seeing what it felt like on my foot specifically. So that's a way that you can get at trying out different options and maybe find something that works good for you. And like I said, I can't tell you what's going to be best. For me, these were the most comfortable, the lightest weight, and the best option. They just didn't hold up as well. So there you have it. Hopefully the video was helpful. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button, please. I love the comments. So anything you want to do to throw out there, comment your experience, feedback on the video, whatever. I certainly appreciate that. I read everyone and respond if I need to. So look forward to hearing from you. And then if you can, subscribe. That helps me out as well. I'd appreciate that. As a final thought, I am going to be working on getting more videos up that are hopefully useful. I try to get content on things that are either something I've had a hard time finding information on, or if it's something that I think is beneficial, maybe in a different way than some of the other information that's out there on the internet or on YouTube. It's 2018. That's my goal for the year. So we will see, and we'll see you next time.